Hey screen printers, it's Ryan here with Ryonet, and today we're going to get a little crafty with screen printing. One of the things I really love about screen printing is the fact you can almost print on anything, and today we're going to be printing on wood. We're doing two different styles of woods. We're going to be doing a nice fine halftone print on a smooth fine grain wood, as well as a more coarse print, a more rustic look, kind of a crafty look on a coarse wood. Now it really depends on the type of wood or substrate that you're printing on how to go about printing it. Today we're using pitch black water-based ink from Green Galaxy. This is the type of ink I prefer to use because it's eco-friendly, nice and soft, and it also doesn't stink while you're printing, and it lasts a lot wetter in your screen versus a solvent ink. Now, if you're going to print with water-based ink, you need to use an uncoated wood, so natural surface, instead of a wood that has a lacquer surface on it or something. If it has a painted or lacquer surface, you're probably going to have to go with a solvent ink, which is stinky and not as user-friendly. Now, depending on the grain of your wood, depends on your mesh. Now, detail obviously plays in a part of it too. So this is fine halftone work right here. These are my three sons. Did these for Christmas presents. So far, they're a big hit. This is a 50-line halftone, 55-line halftone actually through a 280 mesh screen. So the detail is held up in the high mesh screen. Also, the fine grain though has to be there in order to receive that detail. So this is a very fine grained surface versus this screen right here. This is going to be printed on a low mesh screen on a nice rough piece of wood. So this would not work well with the high mesh. You want to get enough ink down. So we're going with a 110 to a 156 mesh. We're actually going to be using a 156 mesh. Same ink on both, but different meshes compared to the detail and the grain of our print surface. To print this, we're actually going to be going directly onto the wood using some off contact, just some squeegee blade right here to kind of help offset the off contact. It's going to line up the print directly to the wood. We have a little bit of off contact here, not a ton. When you're doing this rough grain, your screen mesh can be pretty close to it. That's why we're using that open mesh so that it's more pushing, allows the ink to transfer directly in to the substrate. Because it's a rough grain, we definitely need a lot more ink than fine detail, which means a little bit less off contact needed too. We're using medium Duro squeegee, and I'm just going to flood this guy and print it. I just want to make sure that I have no movement underneath the screen and I have a good amount of transfer. Once I have ensured that, I just pull the screen straight up. It's probably a few more times than needed there. Pop the screen straight up. And there's our print. Came out pretty good. The wood's really rough right here, so we didn't get a full penetration right there. We probably could have gotten more penetration on that part of the wood if we would have pressed a little harder. But it's a clean print, and it looks really cool and rustic. And this is what you're going to get with this type of wood. You're not going to get a solid black print, but that's pretty much what customers are expecting because of the rustic and more craft feel to that. So we're going to actually cure this in the conveyor dryer at about 270 degrees, run it through a few times because it is a water base. Now, if we don't want to cure it, we can add warp drive into that ink at 1.5% by weight, and that will air dry in about 2 to 3 days. But just run it through your dryer. Don't scorch it. You don't want to set this thing on fire, but cure it a few times through the dryer at about 280 or so. The fine line halftone print is going to be a little bit more difficult to accomplish because it has a lot more detail to it. So I'm using the same setup. I'm actually using more off contact in this scenario. The reason I'm using more off contact is because you need that screen mesh to release and leave that detail. You don't want to smudge that detail off, so you definitely need that off contact. I'm using about an 1/8 inch off contact right there. I also got to make sure the screen's not going to move during printing. So I'm actually going to have somebody come over here and hold it while I print. Now you can do this on a press, of course, but with all these different sizes, I'm just literally lining it up, making sure my off contact's good, and then going for the print. When we go to print this, one time is all we have. We want to print it and get a good flood, and then one solid print using a little bit more stiffness. I'm actually using our special squeegee here. This is the Ergo Force squeegee that actually makes the blade a little stiffer. You don't want too soft of a blade because you want to keep that blade up instead of down to make sure you're retaining that detail instead of smudging all that ink into the wood. All right? Got Brian here holding the screen. Gonna do one solid flood. Make sure I got enough ink in there, but I'm not printing. And then one print, I'm using once again about a medium angle there, and one solid print. Allow that screen to release from the wood there. Then pull the screen straight off. The print came out immaculate on this fine grain wood. We retained a ton of detail with our new X2 exposure unit, and I think it looks beautiful. Getting creative with screen printing can not only open up more doors for your business, but it can also allow you to have some fun over the monotonous work that you do every day. Check out all the products we use in this video on our website. Thanks a lot for watching Screen Printers, and we hope you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more awesome screen printing videos.